Can we talk for a minute about our Integrating Heart and Mind workshop?
Absolutely. I'm excited. It's coming up in the fall of 2024.
I'm so excited. We changed the format to make it more accessible to people with like work schedules and personal schedules. And so this time we're going to do it 3 hours on a Friday afternoon or evening, depending on where you're at, and 5 hours on Saturday for 2 different weeks in September.
Yeah, and it's so great. Like if you're finding yourself stuck in like sticky bad patterns or having communication issues or something like that, or if you want to just like get closer and trust yourself or your partner more, this is the workshop for you.
Yeah, and individuals are welcome, couples are welcome. If you're interested in really thinking through how to serve yourself well inside of your relationships, then we've built a workshop that will support you in finding the ways that are just right for you.
To sign up, head over to our website at whydoesmypartner.com/events.
We hope you'll join us. Welcome to the Why Does My Partner podcast.
I'm Jules.
I'm Vicky.
And I'm Rebecca. We're your hosts. We're also couples therapists and messy humans bumbling through our own relationships every day.
We met at a training, and our secret sauce is that we and our partners became fast friends. Between us, we have more than 40 years of experience holding hard relational questions with our clients. We're going to bring those questions here.
And together, we're going to take a stab at answering those questions. This podcast is not a substitute for couples therapy. If something you hear in this podcast stirs something deep within you about your relationship, reach out to a couples therapist in your area.
We also love to hear your questions, so don't forget to go over to whydoesmypartner.com to leave a question of your own. Here's today's question.
Welcome back. I'm Jules.
I'm Vicky.
And I'm Rebecca. And today we have a very special guest with us. We also have Ann Kelly, one of the co-hosts on the Therapist Uncensored podcast and one of the authors of the brand new book, Secure Relating. Hi, Ann.
Hi. So excited to be here with you guys.
Hey.
So excited to have you.
It's so great to have you.
Yeah. So we have a listener question today, and we're hoping you can jump in with us on this one. The question is, why does my partner get mad when I come back from out of town? Whether I'm traveling with my girlfriends or out of town for business, it feels like every time I come, she picks a fight with me.
Oh.
So I have had this walk into my office a lot.
Yeah.
Have you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's coming up for you, Ann?
Well, I think my first thought is that I'm imagining this is a woman writing about her
I'm
girlfriend.
guessing.
Because I'm thinking
the same
I'm
thing.
thinking like, okay, if her partner is male and going on out of town with all his girlfriends, I might see it's a different story, right?
Right. Unless they have an open relationship,
True.
and that's just part of it, which is all so welcome and wonderful.
As long as they have
Absolutely.
that agreement within it, right? As long as they've talked about it.
Right.
I've learned the rules.
I'm guessing though that you might be right, and we might be talking about two ladies here, and I know it's happened. Oh gosh,
Yeah.
this is so common.
It really is.
Where I have a couple come in, and they struggle when they come back together.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think
You
this
guys
is
know
part of
I've got-
connection. I mean,
I wonder if it's part of expectations with connection too. Because I think that at least when one of us comes home, I can't even speak for him. When I come home or when he comes home, I'm expecting just like lovey-dovey and, oh, I'm so glad and excited that you're back. And then if something doesn't align just right, it can like throw off that whole imaginary thing I have in my head. That's what I mean by like the expectation of it.
Oh,
That it has to live up
Mhm.
to it.
It's like it's a missed attunement.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm also kind of just thinking like sometimes in relationship when we're reaching for connection, we reach for connection through like, you know, like the piece about like how come sometimes rage is a bid for connection, right? Like that sometimes there's these different ways that our systems are kind of tuned in to reconnect. And this could be a system that is wired in this particular way.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Totally
Yeah.
possible. You know what's coming up for me is how much implicit memory is going to be stirred up around attachment stuff, because a lot of times when we're talking about, what did I learn in my first beginning imprints around what to expect in relationship, especially when relationships are in a little bit of a stress point, like greeting, for example.
Mm.
Oh, we've been away from each other and now we're reuniting. And there's this like repair reuniting moment. Ooh, all our stuff
All of
from
it.
whatever attachment history we have is going to be stirred up in that kind of moment. And so I guess I'm wondering if it's an attachment thing, which makes me think, Anne, of your work.
Well, yeah, I was thinking with Vicky saying that about expectations. I'm right there with you because our implicit memory sets us up for those expectations, don't they? And so if I have this idea, anytime we have a separation, it really does activate that core part of us, doesn't it? It's like what we expect is going to happen. And especially if her partner lives a little bit more, had a history of insecurity where they had to wait and watch and wonder, right? So then when they go away from them, they're like imagining all these negative things that is likely not happening, but just also they can so easily feel that sense of betrayal already in their body, but they can't explain why. So instead they're just pissy,
Ooh, I want to slow that down. You just said something amazing. I felt the sense of betrayal in my body, but I can't even say why. Could you pull that apart for people and because I bet a bunch of people just went, wait, why would they feel betrayal? So could you dive into that just a little bit?
Sure. Well, the betrayal in your body is what you were mentioning. You have this implicit memory of what to expect. And if your history is when people go away, or if it's really inconsistent, they're here, they're not here, just in the departure, you're kind of reliving that implicit thing without even knowing you're doing it. You're feeling the sense, and maybe you have some imagined state of, they didn't text me, they didn't call me, they hardly, and then you start. So you have all this anticipated thing, and then your rational brain says, that makes no sense. They're just with their friends. So I think when our rational brain says one thing, and our implicit body, our implicit memory comes out in our nervous system, feels really irritable, and they don't match, it really is kind of wacky. And so now you're just pissy and you're grumpy, but it's not fair for me to come back and say, what the hell? Why were you out of town? Because my brain says you were just out with friends. So if it doesn't make sense, now I'm just pissy. So now I'm going to look for something to be mad about. And that's what it sounds like in this question. Like when I go out,
Totally.
because it says they pick a fight. So it's not like they're immediately being accused of doing something wrong. They just get this sense that a fight's being evoked. And so we evoke a fight sometimes because we want it to match what's going on inside. And if my head says things should be fine, but my body doesn't, well, then I'm going to go for what I'm feeling. So I'm going to see something, and that's going to be like, that's what I'm mad about right there.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
What do you think?
Oh, and I think that brings me to the other side of the relationship too, because both brains here, as we're coming back into connection, have all of those early expectations, whatever they are for you, they're stirred up.
So true.
Right? And our brain has those history-colored glasses on, and we don't realize we're looking through those lenses. We don't know that, but maybe there was a lot of tension around reuniting in your home.
Right.
And so actually they're not picking a fight, but you're so sure they're going to pick a fight. So your history-colored glasses could also be part of this equation. And now you're going, well, why are they picking a fight with me again? Because everything in my body is saying, ooh, I'm expecting this to be rough.
Oh, that's such a good point.
I'm thinking also of like inside of the expectations and what we expect might be rough on either side. There's also the stuff about like, what we don't know. Like the partner who goes away doesn't really know, but might be making up a story about all the things that the partner who stayed is holding and carrying in their daily life. And the partner who stayed might be making up a story about what the partner who went, right? Like, and so there are these ways that those unspoken pieces might also be part of what the reactivity is about.
Especially if like, if I've gone away and I'm really enjoying myself, and then I have a sense of guilt. Like sometimes when I go away, like I can feel bad. Like I'm like, the partner at home is taking care of things so I can go away. So if I already feel a little guilty when I come home, and then my partner shows any signs of even sort of natural irritability because they've been at home, they're just dealing with natural daily life.
Right.
And now I'm really, like you were saying, I'm really primed to hear, oh, you're mad at me. Right?
Yes.
Because I feel a little
Primed.
guilty.
That's such a good word for it.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder what to do. So let's say you've noticed this pattern. Okay, so we have some whys. It could be expectations. It could be some embodied attachment learnings. It could be feelings about going away and coming back, like guilt may be driving some of this. So what do we do when this is happening if you want it to be any better? One of my first go-tos in this kind of situation would be a meta conversation. Y'all, we could like stop everything. Maybe not like at the moment of reuniting. You know when I might do it?
Before you
would
go
actually be
away.
right
Before you
before
go away.
I go away. Yes. Yes, good idea.
Sweetie, I really, really love you. And I notice this pattern that happens every time I go. That when I come back, things are kind of tricky.
Oh, I like that. I like that you're saying things are kind of tricky because it's so tempting to say, I notice when I go away, when I come home, you pick a fight.
Right.
That would be really different. That would go differently.
I like the direction you're doing.
We're going to be non-provocative in the way we're inviting our meta conversation. Things are kind of tricky. And I'm wondering if we could talk about if you feel that way too.
Yeah.
Do you notice that, or is it just me?
Is it that maybe I'm anticipating it being tricky before I even come home? That's making it tricky when I get home? Or like, are we both in a shared reality?
Totally.
Shared
It may
reality.
be that you're the only one who feels like this is going hard.
And then I'm going to catch it every time it feels a little hard. And I'm going to blow that up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So the first thing could be to just explore how much shared experience is there here. And then another thing, especially if there is a shared experience, you all could create together a practice, a reuniting ritual that may support reuniting in a different way.
That would shift the dynamic.
I love this. I just want to pause us on reuniting rituals.
I love it. That's it. Yeah. Let's hold that. Let's unpack it because it's perfect.
Yeah.
We hope you're all enjoying this mini-series with our special guest, Anne Kelly from the Therapist Uncensored podcast, and also one of the authors of the new book, Secure Relating, Holding Your Own in an Insecure World.
You can find that book wherever your books are sold, and we're so excited to have her here. We hope you are enjoying her weighing in on your questions, and make sure you check out her book, Secure Relating. You know what I'm thinking is I'm thinking about reuniting rituals I have with my own family. I'm thinking about, so I have a daughter, Stella, she's 10. I'm thinking about how our ritual has evolved over time and how important it's been for her when mom's been away and then comes back, that there's a hug, that there's not a lot of talking right away. We actually just kind of hang there for a good 10 or 15 seconds and just be with each other and long hug. And then she looks up. She's like, "Hi, Mom." And I go, "Hi. Do you want to tell me anything from your day, love?" And then she usually will tell me a little story. But we've been doing some version of that since the beginning of her time. So now let's picture, okay, so let's picture Stella grows up and then has a
I was
relationship.
just
And this is
thinking that.
Stella's girlfriend sometime in the future. Well, she might have expectations of hugs. She might have expectations of not talking right away, right? She might want to ritualize some future greeting in a way that matches that kind,
Yeah.
really holding beginning. And I'm also noticing how different that is from how my partner and I have ritualized reuniting, because we both do have a little bit more of insecure attachment histories. And so we've had to develop ways of greeting that are a little bit more titrated.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
So usually there's actually a little bit of a nod, not a coming
Oh.
together right away. There's probably a little bit of touch, maybe touching a hand or a little peck on the cheek, and then a pause and some space again. And it's not until we're around each other for a little while that it feels okay for him if I say, "Hey, how was your day?" And that has to do with our attachment histories.
I love that.
And so I'm wondering
Wow.
if we could invite you to wonder about like what would feel supportive to my system as I come together, because I think we each have a unique as a fingerprint.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Learning.
noticing in here too, as we're just naming this, that there's different kinds of systems, right? Like there's different kinds of insecure. So there's some people that might come back and the need is higher, right? They like
Yes.
need to attach. There's others that might come back and need more of kind of like the in and out kind of space that you're talking about. There's others that might come back and just need more space. There's others that might come back and need more of like what you and Stell have. Or like when I was hearing that description, I was thinking of my sweet dog who like runs in to like do very much what Stell does every time I come home. And it doesn't matter if I was gone for 10 minutes or if I was gone for 10 weeks. It's the same thing. I'm not gone for 10 weeks. That would be really long. But still,
There's others that have no idea. Because I'm thinking, all of those sound fine to me. I could come home. I mean, I usually do come home and it's shocker, like I'm just talking at him nonstop. But if I got home and he needed silence, I could go straight to bed and not talk to anyone. Like I really have no known preference is the best way I can phrase it.
Yeah, so notice that.
Yeah, like none of those sounded like, oh, that's great. And none of them sounded like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't want that. So how many people out there just like have no idea how they
Or they're just really,
even
you
need it.
have a more flexible style, right? It may be from your history. Yeah, you've been able to just sort of feel it sort of as I feel kind of comfortable with either way, and it's not going to tell me too much information. And it sounds like you won't assume if he's being quiet that it's about you or about.
Not in that case. Trust me, there's plenty of times that he's quiet that I absolutely think it's about me. So I'm not that great. But no, on that one, it wouldn't even cross my mind. That is something I wouldn't personalize at all. So that's interesting.
Well, it is hard to do for some people, right? And I always I love that. Like, I love the what was it you called it, Jules? Like the pre-conversation,
the meta conversation.
Meta conversations.
Meta conversation.
It's Jules's favorite term.
I love that. And part of what I would suggest too is that, like, I love what you're saying, Vicki. It's like not everybody knows. If you stop and think about it, that's something really, really important. We can't really engage in a collaborative way. Like, I think sometimes we try to negotiate too fast and answer to things, right? And so I like to really encourage people to like slow down, and I have to do it myself to go, wait a minute, what is my style? And why is that? Like that moment of self-reflection can help reduce it. And then what is his or her style? And then really actually even asking that question and communicate about it. But then sometimes it's tempting to go, okay, well, if you like it this way and I like it this way, then that's what we'll do. Right? But I think there's a way to really work through it on that meta level. Like some people, you mentioned like that some people, Rebecca, some people would be, I just need distance. Right?
Yeah, I'm thinking more avoidant, more anxious, right? Like different kinds of styles.
Yeah, in our book we kind of name that as blue because it's, it means we kind of get cool. And when we live over there, the trick is when we go away from our partner, we tend to tuck when we live dismissing or avoidant, we tend to tuck a little bit more in. and we
Mhm.
go more in.
Mm-hmm.
So that reunion takes a lot more energy.
Yeah.
But one of the things I like to encourage, like, how do we prime our body to be able to be, instead of this is who I am, know me, deal with me. It's, oh, this is who I am. I wonder why I'm that way. And what can I do to
Mm-hmm.
help my
Right.
system? Right. So I love to encourage somebody who kind of lives more dismissing or avoidant, or as we say it in the book, blue. If they're even just coming home from work or they're coming home from vacation, let's say your partner's blue, or no, I guess she's the one going out of town. Let's just say maybe by chance she lives a little bit more, has a little bit more of a protective strategy. I would encourage, do you stop before you walk in and visualize, like get yourself caught up with yourself and be present. What do I need? And then visualize your partner for a second. Spend a moment to visualize them and to think about them and to warm your body up. We call it warming up blue activation. So if you warm up, then you probably have in your head, oh, wait, they've really been handling the house while I've been gone. And they're probably
Mhm.
tired, or they're probably needing, what are they needing or what are they thinking about? And I think it's so important because then if I'm the blue one coming in, I might be ready to engage just a tiny bit warmer, not because I'm just
Right.
doing it for my partner, but because I've warmed my own system up. And I've thought about them and I mentalized about them. And so when I walk in and I say hi and I say, man, you probably had you did A, B, and C today while I was gone. How was that for you? And it can really make that person feel thought of and seen.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love this. What I'm really catching in here is it's another way of doing what we sometimes call a U-turn, right? Where you're kind of
Yeah.
taking a look at your piece of this. Like, what am I contributing to this? Or how am I showing up? Or is there something I can do to take care of me so that I can
Yeah.
really come in and meet you
Mhm.
in a different way? And you just gave us a beautiful illustration of one way of warming up in order to do that. I love that.
Yeah, I think of this too as, this feels so important because when we're on that blue side of things, on that more dismissive or avoidant side of things, sometimes this language. I love, though, can I like highlight your book and your amazing work on this? Because the blue and the red, it just helps it feel such less labely.
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
I have a tendency towards blueness. It's true, right?
Yeah.
And one thing is that there's a little bit of a sense of not understanding relational joy very well, or not having a lot of lived experiences of that. So one of the things I think you're doing when you're stopping and pausing and imagining what's happening is you're priming your system to move back into, ooh,
Yeah.
maybe relationship could serve me in some way, or
Right.
maybe relational joy could be in my body a little bit. And I have to remind my system that that's a possibility because it's not so automatic because of my history colored glasses.
Yeah. That's a great way to say it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, I think, just putting it out there, saying it and putting it in a book also, sorry, but like makes it okay. I think it was okay anyway, but I think some people might not think that that's okay. And so like, oh, maybe there's nothing wrong with me that I feel this way when I come in the door, because
Right.
if there was really something wrong with me, no one would talk about it, or there wouldn't be skills around it. There would be nothing we could do. But like, hey, some people are just wired that way, and here are some ways to work with it. So it's a different way of looking at it as well.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
really about knowing
absolutely.
yourself and knowing your partner,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
so the more we get to know that, it's not like there's not one way to do relationship. There's a lot of ways. But we need
Right.
to know, like, who are the people that are in this relationship, right? And what
How are
Yes.
we doing it?
Yeah. How are we doing it? What are our needs? It's super important.
Yeah, it really is. And to think about even the question's such a great one. I love that they're even asking it because they're really trying. Just the fact that they're asking the question, they're trying to understand themselves and their partner. I
Yeah.
love it. And part of it is like, oh, if I know that happens, and I don't exactly know why, but I know it could have to do with a lot of the things, I can't put my finger on it, but I know it happens. So then we might tell ourselves, when I come in and I start to feel that irritability, I'm going to really give a lot of grace for a little while, because we might not be able to name it, but I know it's going to happen. But it's so easy instead to go, here we go again. Oh my God, that repetitive pattern.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm noticing in my body? And as you
Yeah.
say it like that, as you even just say, here we go again, that repetitive pattern, I notice that like there's already a clenching that's happening in my body just at that. I don't even know what the pattern is, but I know that as soon as I go into here we go again, I'm going, uh-oh,
Yeah, me
right?
too.
And so if I'm walking in the door like that,
Yes.
wow, like what if like this is back to that pause. Can I warm myself up? Like, what if it's
love
not
that.
a here we go again? What if it's a, wow, I'm coming home?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Some
totally.
reason
And
this
you know
is
what
hard on my partner.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
right,
Some reason this
right,
is hard
right.
on her. And I don't quite know
Right.
why.
But I'm also questioning that. Like I'm looking back at this question. Why does my partner get mad when I come back from out of town? Right? Whether I'm traveling with my girlfriends or out of town for business, it feels like every time I come, she picks a fight with me. So I'm catching that last part. It feels like every time I come, she picks a fight. There's some kind of orientation in here towards that expectation of a fight.
For sure. That's a possibility. You know what else I was
So
thinking
true.
of is if you're one of those listeners and you're listening to this and what is happening for you is one of those Roy Kent moments where you went, "Oh fuck. I picked the fight." What? If that is
That's so
happening,
beautiful.
you can do a priming too. Like you could know, oh, my partner's about to come home from the airport. And you could be with your system and you could be curious about, ooh, I can feel that agitation coming up. I could feel that feeling. My body feels like it's in betrayal, but I don't totally know why. It's not totally understandable to me. Somebody might be a little bit more red side of the spectrum.
Yep.
Am I getting that right?
Yeah, we have
Anne?
red, a
If
bit more
this is part of what's
preoccupied,
happening.
anxious. Yeah.
A little bit more. And you know what? A lot of folks, one of the most brilliant moments I've ever had around this was we really slowed down that moment experientially in a therapy space. And this person was exploring this and he was really slowing down and being with his system and feeling into that agitation and the betrayal feelings. And you know what he said in the end is we were really with it. And he said, well, I really want to be close, but saying I missed you is too vulnerable.
Oh,
So I think I'm picking a fight instead.
yeah.
Wow.
And so his practice became thinking about how he was going to reinitiate and let his partner know
Yeah.
that he had missed her. And he ended up doing it through notes because saying it out loud was too much. And so he would pass a note to her as soon as she walked in the door, and then she would hug him and say, I totally get it. I love you. I'm glad to be home.
Oh, my
so
God.
beautiful.
And it fixed it.
I love that. Because he was vulnerable in the way he could be.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So there's lots of solutions, but we're really recommending meta conversations, y'all.
Yeah.
And yeah, does this feel like a place
I
to
think
land
this
it
feels
for
like a
today?
place to land. We'll be back
Yeah.
next week with another episode in this mini-series with Anne.
Yay.
Yay.
See you then.
See y'all.
Bye-bye.
That wraps up this week's episode. Join us again next week for another Why Does My Partner?
We hope that you continue to listen wherever you get your audio and that you'll follow the show.
To go deeper, join us at one of our workshops. You'll find our next date at whydoesmypartner.com.
Did you know you can ask us your questions?
Your questions are relational gold.
Go to whydoesmypartner.com to either write in or record your question for a future episode.
And here are some gratitudes. Thanks to Al Huberman, our sound editor and podcast production magic maker.
Thanks to every one of you who has joined us for our workshops in the past. We've learned so much from all of you.
And thanks to everyone who's reviewed the show on Apple Podcasts. Your reviews help others to find the show.
Take care of each other best you can.
See you next time.